the person who is going to speak to us. Mr. Adeleke Ismail Adeniyi is a dynamic engineer, educator, and researcher with extensive experience in leveraging artificial intelligence, that's AI, and the Internet of Things, IoT technologies, to solve real world problems. He's currently pursuing a PhD in electrical and electronic engineering science, at the University of Johannesburg. His cut-edge research focuses on hybrid machine learning and IoT systems for food fermentation processes, building on a master's degree, which he obtained with a distinction in the same field, where he developed an AI-powered water quality monitoring system. His expertise spans embedded systems, it spans in embedded systems, renewable energies, and robotics. And he has, to his credit, diverse portfolios of projects, including automation systems, drones, electric vehicles, smart agriculture, and microclimate control for greenhouses. As a member of, as a faculty member at the African Leadership Academy, Mr. Ismail's passion for technology and education positions him as a key advocate for the AI-powered transition from beginner to professional in the tech industry. And without further ado, I'll be inviting Mr. Ismaili. Let's welcome him with emojis, claps, and all of that at the comment section uh, to take over to begin the session. Mr. Ismail, over to you, sir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ismail. I I unfortunately I can't share my screen because I'm not allowed to do that. Can you please assist with turning on my video so I can share my screen?
All right.
Share my screen. Okay, like I said, my name is Ismail. I am a Nigerian from Oyo State. I will be presenting this on AI-powered transitions smoothing the pathway from beginner to pro in tech. I I got this less than 2 weeks ago, and I really don't know what to speak on. But I decided to just share my experience on my journey as an embedded system engineer and as an educator, and how I was able to thrive through the Nigerian economy and how I was able to get to where I am today, so that everyone who is aspired to be an embedded engineer can learn from that. And I realized not everyone knows what embedded engineering is. Everyone believes in software engineering, and I have found limited number of people who are actually engaged in embedded system engineer. So I'll be sharing our experience on how I started and what brought me to this position, so that can be as an inspiration to others who also want to learn from me. Okay, good. So my journey, how does it begin? It began in 2008 when I got admitted to Federal Polytechnic Ede. I was there to study electrical and electronics engineering. Before I got to Federal Polytechnic Ede for my ND, I have always been curious about engineering. I always been curious about how things are made. I want to know how everything was made. Like when you open a radio set, you see circuit inside. What is the magic that is happening, and how are we able to hear the voice of someone speaking? So I had this curiosity in me, and that took me to the Polytechnic when I started. So I was able to get some guys a guy specifically at the market, at the Polytechnic market. So he used to work on final year students project then, and he does a lot of great things, like things that are amazing and that I couldn't believe a Nigerian can do. Although they were all analog then, but it has nothing to do with programming. But they are great things, putting things together that could develop a system. So in my curiosity, I went to him to learn, but unfortunately, I was billed an expensive amount of money that I couldn't afford. So then I had issues with paying my school fees, accommodation, feeding, not to talk of getting an expensive amount of money to learn. So one thing I noticed then is the reason why it was so expensive is just to make the knowledge secretive, like to make the knowledge themselves for themselves alone. They don't want to share, and they want others to depend on them. And the reason for this is because this guy works on final year students projects, so he believes if he was able to pass the knowledge to others, then they will be in the position to compete with him in that market space, in that commercial hub. And he didn't want that to happen, so he actually placed a lot of price, in fact prices, because he divided the knowledge into modules. And then I could remember that was far as 2008. Mobile phones were not what it is today. I don't want to say there was no Android phone, but there was actually no Android phone then, because then it was BlackBerry was just coming up then. Yeah, and that was one of the most expensive phone then in Nigeria, not to talk of buying an Android phone. So internet was not what it is today. It was very hard to solve the internet. If you want to solve the internet, you have to go to a cyber cafe to use the internet, and even online resources were so limited. There were limited amount of resources you can find on Google. Even Google was not that popular then. We don't search Google then. We don't search Google then. In fact, most of JAM, WAEC, they are not online. Everything is through paper. You apply through paper. So it was a very long time where there was a limited way to learn through online resources compared to what it is today. So unfortunately, these knowledge keepers makes these knowledgeable people makes their knowledge secretive so that you don't compete with them. So I couldn't afford, and went to the Polytechnic Library one day. The Polytechnic Library, which I regard to as the best library in the world, the Federal Polytechnic Eden. I don't know what it is today, but then I believe it was the best library in the world. So I went to the library one day to read for an examination, and I saw some Indian books on electronics. Then I stopped reading for examination, and just whatever was taught in class is what I would just write in the exam. I don't care about the exam. I cared most about these books. There were lots of books then written by Indians on electronics. There were books on analog and digital electronics. So I was able to read those books. So it was reading these books that actually that served as the foundation for the embedded systems that I engage today. So I read those books. It's a lot. It's on analog electronics. It have to do with FM transmitter, how to use, understanding components, resistors, transistors, capacitors. It was challenging because all these that I was reading, I don't have the electronic component to actually practicalize what I was reading. I don't have resistors, I don't have capacitors, I don't know where to get them. I don't even have the money to buy them. But I was able to like starve myself with hunger. Money that was used to feed myself, I have to convert those money to buying these electronic components, resistors, capacitors, transistors, transformers, just to put things together to form rectifiers, um, amplifiers, and so on and so forth. So this was how I started. There was no money then, but the little I was supposed to use for feeding, I used those money to get components. And I was just reading. I'll go to the library to read. I don't have money to make photocopies of this book, so I read and write. I write whatever I read. So when I get back home, I put the components together to practicalize what I've read, go back to the library, read again, come back. And that was how it started for many years. For I think about 2019, sorry, 2009, up to around January 2010. So later I found a guy who was working on inverter as his final year project. So I thought I could learn more from him because the books I was reading have nothing to do with inverters. It's just like basic electronic components and applications. So I went to him to learn how to make an inverter. He just paid me a little amount of money which I could afford then. Then I paid him and he taught me how to make an inverter. He gave me the circuit. He didn't teach me how to build the circuit. He just gave me the circuit and said, go and make your own inverter. I went to buy components, put everything together, but unfortunately, it did not work. I went back to him and I realized he actually gave me a non-working circuit diagram that wasn't working. So we had a disagreement on that because I was standing on the protocol that I paid you, and it was like, how much did you pay? So we had a disagreement on that even if I didn't pay much, our agreement is teach me how to build an inverter. At least I should be able to build one. But unfortunately, I couldn't. This is not working. But your own project, which is of an year project, was working. So why is it that the one I was building could not work? So later I realized he also belongs to that category of people who keep their knowledge from others so that you don't compete with them in the on the long run. But to God be the glory, after reading for a long time, I was able to build my own inverter because I was able to put knowledge together, everything I've read together to build one thing. And because of that, students started approaching me to assist them with their projects. And most of these projects I can't do. The first thing I did was an FM transmitter. So imagine me struggling to build an inverter and I was given a project on FM transmitter. That was the first thing I did. So it took me a long time before I could do that, but I read a lot. I read a lot. And one thing I hate doing is reading, unfortunately. I find it lazy to read. I find it difficult to read. I don't know how I feel when I need to read because the only thing I like doing is solving mathematical problems because it has nothing to it's not related to reading, it's just practicing. But reading, I don't know, maybe it's because of the English, it was written in English. I can't even read my language, not to talk of reading in English. But I have to like break that chain, break that bondage, and have to read because this is the only thing I can do. I couldn't find someone who could teach me. So the only thing I could do is read. So after many months, I was able to build a transmitter which I delivered to them. It was working, and because of that, my popularity grew in at Ede then, and I was able to work on so many projects then. So that was how the journey began. So the journey did not begin with online resources. It did not begin with anyone teaching me. It began with reading. It began with curiosity and followed with reading, and not just reading, but able to implement what I have done, what I've read, to at least do something to show myself. I was not doing it for anyone. I was not doing it for anyone to praise me or for any form of achievement. I was just doing it for self satisfaction. So the success is me satisfying, is my own satisfaction from my own curiosity. My curiosity is, how was this built? Why are these nonsense put together and the radio start talking? That is my curiosity. And at the end of the day, I was not just able to build a radio, but I was able to build a transmitter to be able to transmit voices to people's radios. So, which is far more than what led to my curiosity. So, that was success to me. So, success is being able to achieve what you want, what satisfies you, and not what people think about you. So I don't care what people think. Then I don't have clothes, I don't have shoes, I wear one clothes for a long time. I don't care about that. What I care is what am I able to achieve from what I want to achieve? How am I going to read effectively? How am I going to understand what I've read? How do I get money to buy components to put things together? And how can I build things? So that was my aim then. And I was able to achieve that at around 2010, late 2010, before I went for my IT. So, but everything I've done are not embedded systems. They are just analog electronics trying to put resistors and capacitors together. It has nothing to do with coding. It has nothing to do with software development. So when I got to Obafemi Awolowo University for my undergraduate in the same field, I I stayed then. There was no Android phone then. Android phone was about coming up then. A few of us were able to get Android phones, which are the rich guys in the class. Only a few were able to get were able to were able to have access to Android phones then. But the common phone then was BlackBerry. So imagine someone who could not get a BlackBerry can actually not get an Android phone, not to talk of being on YouTube or being able to search Google. I was still very limited then, but only a few members of our class were able to get Android phone then. I couldn't get an Android phone. I need to I need to work hard. I was hearing about programming languages, and I need to at least study and learn about programming languages. But it was very tough for me that I have to also learn about C programming languages. And what actually helped me during my undergraduate was I have to find people to teach. It also helped me. I have to be people's mentor to teach. What I suffered during my ND days that I couldn't find someone to teach me, I have to learn programming language and teach others. So while teaching, I was able to get more experience and more knowledge. So that was how I got into embedded systems. And with time, I I started getting more projects from students. Even I got some projects from the industries to build drones and to work on solar systems and automation systems. That was how I started. But it was still tough because then YouTube was about is just going then. There was no AI then. Libraries was not what it used to, what is now. So there are lots of challenges, but through perseverance, I was able to at least get a lot to expand my skills and do some other things. So it got to a time that I started seeing electronic devices imported from China to Nigeria. And I realized that these devices that are imported from China are things I can do on my own. That I can actually do them. There are GPS devices, lots of devices that I can do. But how do I do that? So I have to create an enterprise. I call it the GovTech. And I call the motto, I gave it a motto for the future technology of Nigeria that I want to contribute to developing Nigerian technological industry. But unfortunately, there was no support in terms of financial support and empowerment because I can put circuit together to form a GPS device, but where do I get the packaging from? How do I make it smaller? How do I get cheaper components if I'm to create a smart inverter? It will be much more expensive than the one that will be imported from India and China. So all these gave me frustrations to like develop my enterprise because then I don't have the idea of traveling abroad. I believe that everything can be done in Nigeria. When people see my work, they always argue like, "Are you sure this was done in Nigeria?" Then I say, no, this is not about if it is done in Nigeria. It's about me who 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 did it myself. So because of my time, let me try and summarize it. I think I have 2 or 3 slides away. So because of that, what I have been doing because of my passion, people have been seeing me, people have been noticing what I was doing, people have been seeing my skills, and as a result, I was referred to someone in South Africa, through my supervisor, who actually brought me in to study master's degrees and also to make me work as in a research center to build machine learning and embedded systems. And at the end of the day, I graduated with distinction. I was able to work on so many projects in his enterprise, which have to do with greenhouse and others. And from everything I've said, so what made my journey possible? So one is discipline, because I engage in constant self-learning, practice and reading. Then perseverance. I was able to push through hardship, then remaining focused on the goal. Then vision. My vision is just commitment to improving Nigeria tech capabilities. Then I was never waiting for opportunities abroad. I created opportunities abroad through hard work. I was not waiting to travel out of the country before I started. I have to start so that people outside the country can actually see what I have done. So which is against what you see most youth doing today. Youth today wants to go abroad to start, but I started. But it didn't come easy. It came through failure because I failed so many times that I have to learn from my failure, consistent failing. So all this made me know more. So that was how I got to my position. So there is one general question and concern about people about AI. AI has come to stay. It makes our work easier. But people always ask the question, will AI replace human in future? Will it replace man? No, AI will not replace human because AI is not human. AI is just a tool. It's just saying, just like a spanner or like a screwdriver. And saying screwdriver will replace human. No, if screwdriver cannot replace human, human needs to use screwdriver. So that means that AI is just a tool, cannot replace human, but those who fail to use it effectively will be replaced. For example, if you ask AI to give you a code, then you are not using AI ethically. Instead, you can write your code for a you can write your code which might give you some issue, might not work effectively well, and ask AI to help you walk through your code to identify your errors, to identify your mistake. With that, you can build a sophisticated system more than those who actually just use AI to generate their code. So that is how AI will actually replace them. So those who knows how to use AI will replace those who don't know how to use AI. So what my advice for aspiring embedded system engineers? Use AI to accelerate learning, not shortcuts. Don't use it as a shortcut to get what you want. Use it to accelerate learning. Then always be curious and committed. Always want to learn
Akíniola, Akíniola.
and always want to learn and be challenging and perseverance and future. Don't forget, always make sure you focus on the vision, on the mission. Don't let distractions, social media, lots of things to distract you from getting to your vision. So thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you very much, Mr. Ismail Adeleke. That was quite eye opening. We really thank you for sharing your journey with us. You told us how you started. So 2008 till now. That's about, give or take, about more than 15 years ago. And see what you've achieved in that part. Thank you for sharing us how you started and how you were able to progress. Also, so I would like to ask if there are any of the attendees with questions you want to ask about growing in embedded systems, because you have any questions around embedded systems for our speaker. You have any questions about how you can also progress career wise, this is the time for you to ask those questions. I hope you can all hear me. You can drop your questions in the chat, or okay. I think I have a hand. Mr. Steve, you can unmute your mic and ask the question. Hello, Mr. Steve. You can go ahead with your question.
All right. Good morning, all. Um, so my question is now from all you've said, Mr. Ismail, you must have. Is it necessary for somebody who do not have a background on electronics? How do one, proceed with with all you have said to ensure that it gets to the person becomes an embedded system engineer? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. I forgot to add that when I started, I actually I did not build on the background of the polytechnic or university I went through. There are two parallel lines. What I was practicing is not what were taught in school. So everything was achieved through reading. It is just like being curious and find an answer to your curiosity. So it has nothing to do with you having a background in electrical electronics or going to study electrical electronics. I have seen some of my colleagues who are also in this field that studied other courses as well. So I think I've seen someone who studied agriculture and is a pro in embedded system, which are not the same thing, which are two different things. So it's just about reading. There are lots of online materials today. The way I started was difficult, was challenging because then there was no internet. Not internet was not what it is today. But now there are lots of online material. It's just starting from somewhere. So just start from somewhere. And wherever you start from, once you start, it means you have a destination. But when you don't start, you don't have a destination. You just keep procrastinating, like, I want to learn this. I'm scared because I don't think I belong there or I don't know this. No, it's just starting something. Even if it's just learning about resistor, it's a start. Even if it's learning about AI, it's a start. Even if it's like wanting to know what machine learning is a start. It's a start about reading and finding someone who can guide you. Because if you have a mentor who can guide you, it makes your journey faster. But if you don't have someone who can guide you, it makes your journey very slow. The same thing was applied to me, that I have to learn very slow and for many years because I had no mentor. I had nobody who could guide me, who can advise me. When I make mistake, when I fail, I had nobody who I can run to and say, please, I failed on this. Can you please help me? What can I do to do it better? There was no AI, there was nobody. I have to read on my own. So to make your journey fast, identify anything, start, find someone who can guide you. So that's my advice for you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Steve. Has it was he able to do justice to your question? Hello, Mr. Steve. Hello.
Yes, yes, please. Yeah. And thank you for the answer
Okay.
you provided. Thank you.
Okay. So there's a question in the chat. It says, in what ways, Lillian Adams is asking, in what ways can AI be applicable in embedded systems hardware?
Yeah, embedded system hardware, like applicable in learning, right? Is that the question? Like to learn or applicable in practice? Okay, I think the person said to learn. Yeah, AI, like let's take for example, the common AI everyone that is close to everyone is ChatGPT. Then you want to learn about embedded system with ChatGPT. You can just ask ChatGPT, where do I start from? Where do I start from? I want to learn about embedded system. First and foremost, understand what embedded system is first. That is the first thing. When you understand, you use ChatGPT like you're using Google. You don't use AI to get the solution because you want to create the solution. If you use AI to get even the solution itself, you know one, the solution will not be perfect. The solution may not even solve the problem. Then you may even not understand the solution. But instead, use AI like you're using Google. If you go to Google and search for something, you see lots of responses, maybe like 10, 100, 200 links on one topic. Then you are confused because you don't know the one to click and read. You don't know the one to navigate. You don't know the one that will give you the best answer that you want. I hope you understand. But if you use ChatGPT to ask what is embedded, it gives you like one or two responses. If you are not satisfied, you can regenerate. It's just like going to Google, going through all the responses, then read one, going to ChatGPT, also read one. So you can use it as a guide, like you searching through Google, but making it more precise. Instead of saying, give me a circuit or give me a circuit on how to build a robot, and that gives you connect this to this, buy this. You don't even know what you're buying, you don't know how to use it, you don't know the reason why you need to connect. So that is like finding the solution. So instead, how do I start? It asks you to get a resistor. You go and get a resistor. How do I use a resistor? It's about how, why, then you apply. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Lillian Adams, has he been able to answer the question? Can Okay, she said yes. Anybody who still has questions for us? Anybody? Um, Questions for us? Okay. So some of my takeaways are that we should not just use AI. Maybe you want to write a code or something, but also you should use AI to get some of the resources you can use. And Mr. Ismail, I would like to ask a question. So you mentioned at a point in time that while you were building the Gov, I think the Gov Tech, there was no support as such. So how do when you start learning, how as in Nigeria, how can you walk your trajectory so that you get employed in this line of work? That's the question I would ask, so that at the end goal, maybe you want to go into it full time. How do you work up to getting maybe employment around embedded systems if you have the skills?
The goal should not be to get employed to an industry. The goal is to build your skill. I think that should be the goal. Because when you are working towards employment, then you don't have a clear focus of what you want. You don't want to be innovative. The only thing you want is a job just to get salary and you're done. But if you work towards building your skill, then on the long run you'll be innovative. And when you are innovative, you can create ideas, you can solve problems, you can create new things, you can come up with things that are not possible. Then, as a result, people will come after you to want your service to do things for them because they can see what you have done. So, with that, you won't be seeking for a job, but people will come to find you to ask you, what can you do this for us? So, they will come with job opportunities. But you will choose the job opportunity that will make you to improve on your skill, that will make you enhance yourself further. But if you are working towards getting a job somewhere, then you won't work towards being innovative. You'll just be like doing one or two just to get a job, showing them that I was able to do this, please give me your job. Then you beg for job because you don't have skill, you are not innovative. But if you are persistent in developing yourself, then before you know it, you start creating things that are impossible. Then when you create things that are impossible, people will find you and try to engage you to solving their own problems.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a new perspective that you don't, you don't. Thank you for the answer. That you don't. Your goal is not to get a job, but also to get a skill. And when you have that skill, people will come after you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ismail. Really appreciate your presence in this webinar. And like I said in the last webinar, this is a series of webinars. We're bringing people to speak to us, and we know about Texavia. What we do at Texavia, we are helping you get that skill. We are helping close the skill gap. As like Mr. Ismail has been said, he said when he wanted to start, people were holding the knowledge. Some of them, even the person that first gave him a circuit at a point, gave him a non-working circuit because he didn't want him to get that knowledge. But at Texavia, we are not like that. We want you to be able to get that knowledge. And like some of us, if you have not joined our community, would we are advising you. We want you to join us because we are looking to train people. We want to train youths in their skills set. We train workforce. If you have a company and you are looking for someone to train them in STEM skills, uh, we are there for you. And also we build innovative products. And like he said you need a mentor. If you are looking for a mentor in a particular line, you can always reach out to us. And so you can, like I said, like I've always said, you can visit us at www.texavia.org, and you can write to us at texavia at gmail.com. I'll be dropping the links with which you can reach us on the chat box. You can always write to us, and would would oblige you and give you a good response. Um, for those of us who are already on our community, you constantly see updates on our activities. You constantly see updates on some of our programs and our trainings. We offer trainings also. We offer trainings in embedded systems, in IoT, software engineering, and data analytics. And be sure that, like I told someone in the last webinar, when after our training, we help to set you up in places where you can get to try your skills and so on. Do we have anyone who wants to ask any question? If you want to ask maybe about Texavia, about what we do, or any other questions around what we've discussed today. Yeah, so okay, without further ado and with no questions, we thank you all for joining us. You'll see frequent updates from us at Texavia. Texavia is spelled TECHSAVIA. We are on LinkedIn, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook. Twitter is X now, and you can always reach out to us. And also, you can go to our website, like that I dropped in the chat box, and drop anything, any message or any inquiry you have for us. Thank you all for coming today. See you in the next webinar. Thank you very much. And to our speaker, we sincerely appreciate you for your time and for the knowledge and insights that you gave to us today. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and to all our attendees, I would appreciate you because you are the reason why every time we have to set up these webinars and come up with these topics and bring industry experts to speak with us. Thank you, and see you next time.
Okay, thank you.